I spent a year at Bharat Earth Movers Limited, BEML, in Bangalore, setting up the Human Resource Development Department. This was in the year 1978. The management consultants recommended to them to expand in leaps and bounds and suggested to do that they need to also set up a new department called Human Resources Development Department, whose job is to introduce new HRD systems and prepare them for the future. By the time, I think we already had quite some experience of implementing HRD systems in L&T. Udai and I were working with Larsen and Toubro, and we essentially implemented through a HRD implementation task force. When BML approached us at IIM Ahmedabad, I took a year's leave. They actually offered me to join as a general manager. At 32 years in a defense ministry company, you don't join as general manager, but because this is a specialist kind of a thing, they said we'll be happy to take you as the general manager. But after studying the entire kind of a situation and my own preferences, I suggested that they should look for a general manager, and my job will be to identify from among one of the DGMs somebody who can take over from me as general manager HRD. So I'll be there just for a year to initiate all the systems that were recommended in the consultant's report and start the HRD department. I went to BML sometime in the month of March or April, immediately after the IIM convocation. But before that, for about 6 months, Udai Pareek and I, since we knew that I'm going to join them, started introducing in two of their functions the new performance appraisal system, which was called as also HRD system. More or less similar to what we designed in Larsen and Toubro, which required identifying key performance areas, setting goals, and then doing performance analysis, having performance counseling, and the ratings being opened up to people, all those kind of things. For a defense sector, it is quite a big change from confidential reporting type of assessments to open kind of appraisal systems. So we wanted to experience it for 6 months. After 6 months of experimentation, I actually joined in the company. I used to have my office in the rail coach division because the main office used to be located in Unity buildings in Bangalore, and Unity buildings did not have enough of space, and rail coach division, which is closer to the HIL, had quite space. So they have given me a big room, and of course in the big room with a table and a chair. It's a very interesting kind of an experience. Then my job was to initiate both in rail coach division as well as in the head office and in earth mover division in Kolar Goldfields. It was very interesting. I requested that I need at least a couple of managers to work with me, and Mr. Joshi, who was the director of finance at the time, went to both XLRI and Birla Institute Pilani and recruited 2 young men to work with me, and these were Rajiv Bhatnagar and Keith D'Souza. Rajiv later joined L&T much later, and Keith, of course, I think came to IIM to do his fellow program, then to XLRI, then to Pfizer, and so many other companies. And it was such a great pleasure working with both these guys. So in 1978, when I started off as general manager or advisor in general manager's capacity, the first thing I did was to start a series of workshops to educate people. I think they had approximately about over 1,000 managers at that time. Educate them all about the new HRD system and the role of line managers and things like that. Particularly, we emphasized the performance appraisal, performance coaching, performance feedback as developmental tools and so on. I still remember when we started launching the 2-day programs, the general managers, I think the company had one chairman, managing director, General Mani, and then 3 directors, 1 director, technical, Brigadier Gokhale, Director Marketing, one Murthy, and Director Finance, Joshi. So these were the three directors, and then below them were a large number of general managers. Finance had a good number, and of course the technical had both R&D with him and other functions. There were quite a few general managers. While I was running the programs for all the managers, the GMs didn't think that they had time for a 2-day program. The company couldn't just spare them. So we decided on every Tuesday we will get together for 2 hours in BEML guest house. In fact, I used to stay in BEML guest house, which was those days located in near Brigade Road, called Brunton Cross Road. Brunton Cross Road. I think they had a house which was a guest house. Opposite to us, the HRD guest house and so on. We used to assemble there in the evening time, and then 2 hours full session on different parts of the new HRD system that we initiated. And General Mani also used to attend that particular program along with the GMs. There were, of course, a large number of things that have happened during that particular year. I was there actually for about 8 months, and about 4 months before that, 5-6 months before that, we introduced the system in a couple of departments. And post that, because I wanted to get back to IIM as the next academic year was approaching, we decided that I will return back to IIM, but I will continue to provide assistance to the company. There was a change in the leadership, of course. After General Mani, Brigadier Gokhale became the chairman managing director, who unfortunately died in an accident. And after that, one of the general managers at the time, finance, he became director of finance, and later also became the chairman managing director. That was about 2 to 3 years later, after my exit as the person introducing the HRD in Bharat at Movers. Well, among the innovations that we have, I would hardly call them innovations. The strategy that we have used to implement the HRD system was appointing task forces. We had about 4 task forces, one for manufacturing, one for R&D, one for marketing, and one for manufacturing included both rail coach division as well as the earth movers division and so on. Each task force was headed by a chairman. I still remember, I think in R&D it was Dr. Aparmayan who was the chairman, and in manufacturing it was one Colonel Sharma who was the chairman. I forget who was it in the rail coach division. Head office also, I think head office was maybe Mr. Swaminathan, who was brought in from earth moving division to work as the future general manager of HRD. In fact, I think he took charge as the person and used it to sit in unity buildings and so on. We also initiated a very interesting innovation called SAFI services. We used to administer psychometric tests and then give feedback to managers in the classroom. They come to the class and they sign out for about a couple of hours program, and we give them, things like we gave Fairobi, EI questionnaire. Those days, I think MBTI was not yet popular. Our own locus of control instruments, tolerance for ambiguity, and many such tests, and give them and talk to them about the importance of being an effective manager. These office services were continued later by Keith D'Souza, who continued after I left. And later on, I think we promoted this as a tool for every company and so on. The other thing that we had done at the time was, of course, as a part of the performance coaching and feedback. They should be identifying the key KPIs and also identifying, I think, do the performance analysis for the previous term and then share with them, and then also initiate something like an organization development experience, whatever departments tabulated. In some ways, although there was no 360-degree feedback at the time, I still remember in KGF, as I was giving the performance counseling sessions, 2 of the managers in KGF said, "Sir, I think we have even progressed more than what you are saying, because feedback is not only from our people who report to us, it is also from a number of others. And we, on our own initiative, went through an ISTD program on how to be a good supervisor, collected the questionnaire, modified it, and gave it to all our juniors and our colleagues. We didn't give it to our boss, but asked our secretaries to collect the feedback and present the feedback to us in terms of the trends and averages. And after we got this feedback and there were surprises, we went back to our department and we presented the feedback that we have got, because we had surprises. There were some good things they have said, there were not so many good things, and we initiated some kind of a dialogue. This is 1978, remember. I think there are innovative managers who don't need titles like 360-degree feedback. They do these things on themselves and so on. I think it was fun. We enjoyed. In fact, my wife joined me for about 3-4 months. After that, it became difficult to manage the children's education. So she went back, and every day, those days, there were no emails, there was no way to. So I used to book a call early in the morning and urgent call and wait for talking to my family, because I am quite a family man and I keep missing my family wherever I am. That is something which I remember. And then I think the Bangalore as a city used to be very much like a small town, and there were only nice houses built in the usual, I think, the old tradition. And Indira Nagar and all those used to be almost like a forest. And KGF would take about 1 to 1.5 hours. And I had a car and a driver, and I think we visited all the temples in Bangalore and even visited Mysore. We used to have a lot of fun at the time. And both my children used to visit Kabban Park regularly, much less to Lal Bagh, but largely to Kabban Park. And I think used to have a lot of fun and so on. Utility building, which is closer to Brampton Cross Road, was the tallest. And there used to be a small cave called Udyavan, where they had this Gujarati style swing. So both my children used to enjoy the swing there, and it was all fun. So sometimes when I look back, I think BEML, my work in BEML has made a lot of difference in my life. As soon as I returned back to IIM in 1979, using all my experiences, we held a seminar on introducing human resource development. Udai Pareek wrote the conceptual parts for the seminar, and I wrote all my experience of BML in a very interesting way. For those of you who read the last chapter on introducing HRDS in a public sector, I think that is nothing but largely Bharat Atmover's experience. So you will find very interesting things of somebody refusing to give the boardroom for a training because carpet will get dirty, and a whole lot of other kind of interesting episodes I have mentioned in that. I think these are all great memories, and I must always say that this particular year I spent with Bharat Atmovers has given me quite an interesting understanding, confidence to work with a large number of managers and run executive development programs without any fear, and link with, I think, studying HRD climate, link OD, potential appraisal, and the difficulties in potential appraisal and things like that. I still remember I used to, whenever I went to BEML KGF Kolar Goldfields outfit, used to stay in the beautiful guest house. And sometimes General Mani, as the CMD, also used to come and stay. And he preferred to take morning walks along with me and share a number of things. I still remember one particular conversation in which he said, I can't say this to you, but I want you to be aware, if you examine the promotions, people from certain communities seem to be getting promotions more frequently. So you yourself find out, do some research and find out. And I am very happy if you're talking of introducing potential appraisal. We couldn't introduce at the time. It has taken a long time for introducing this, but I think interacting with CMD and understanding his private feelings, which he cannot always speak, and these were all very, very interesting kind of things that I have learned. So BML remains a great experience in my life. I hope you enjoyed this video.